You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello. Today is Friday the 4th of July 2025, it's American Independence Day, and you are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, and I have had a tremendously good day today. I did sleep a lot better last night. I managed to go to bed. I went to bed when I said I was going to, basically, just after I recorded the podcast. I had a really good night's sleep. I woke up properly refreshed. I wasn't refreshed, I didn't have new skin. Refreshed at about 6 o'clock. And suddenly realised that I didn't have anything in the house that I wanted to eat for breakfast. In fact, I didn't have yoghurt or fruit or anything that I like. So I knew Tesco had already opened. So I went shopping. I actually went and did a bit of a top-up shop at Eoldi Supermarket. And I was back by like 10 to 7. I then put stuff in the fridge and was ready to go. What else did I do? It wasn't straight away. I can't remember what I did in the meantime. Oh no, I listened to an audio drama. I listened to an audio drama that I wanted to listen to, and then I think it was just before 9 o'clock, I did a live stream, and during that live stream, I signed off chapters 39 and 40 of Empress of the Trees. This included a minor rewrite. I think I might have mentioned before, but I can't remember if I have on the podcast. I've definitely said it on my live stream, so apologies if I did this on the podcast yesterday as well. But there's a character called Vishal Sharma, who is one of the non-professional, but an ex-soldier that was working for Arbor Associates, that was sent up to the Cairngorms to help support Ronnie free Simewolf from the tree, or from the tree that was off the network. And I felt really bad because I really liked the character. I'd warmed to him really quickly, and he was basically one of the few people left towards the end that wasn't going to live. He wasn't a designated survivor, so he was doing all the things he was doing. Unlike Ronnie and Carruthers and Oakley and all the others knew that they would survive, he didn't know that. He basically thought he was going to die. And in the original version, he gets quite badly injured in an explosion that's a trap left by a couple of the remaining soldiers. And Ronnie basically does what he's asked her to do, which is shoots him because he can't recover. They haven't got the medical equipment and stuff. And it just felt too harsh. So in the version of chapter 40 that I eventually signed off, Adrian says there was an explosion and he died, and we don't see him die on page, as it were, and that then left me the opportunity to do what I had planned to do in chapter 41. Now, I didn't plan to sign off chapter 41 today. I planned to get to 40 and leave it. However, loads of other things happened today, so I got a CD arrived via the post, which is the very first audio drama starring Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor and Mandip Gill as Yaz. And I was absolutely determined to listen to that today. In fact, what I normally do with these audio releases is I rip the CD onto my computer, stick them on my phone, and then either listen to them in the car or went out for a walk. But no, I was absolutely determined to listen to this one properly firsthand through the CD, so I did, and it wasn't the greatest story of all, but it was wonderful. There's definitely chemistry between the two leads in it, and it was fun to listen to. There's a couple of moments where I thought, yeah, they have got Jodie's Doctor absolutely perfect, so I was very pleased with that. Really enjoyed that. And I listened to some other bits and pieces. I can't watch any Doc Martin. I have found a Region 2 copy of the one Doc Martin episode that I had an Australian DVD of. It was only like £5 on Amazon Marketplace. So I've got that coming. It should arrive tomorrow. So I shall continue watching Doc Martin. So yeah, there wasn't much else I could do. I cut the grass. I needed to cut the grass, and I've been putting it off for ages. Luckily, it hasn't grown very much because of the heat in the last few weeks, but it hasn't been touched since before I went to Singapore, so a while ago, at least like 2 and a bit weeks. But I don't think it'll be touched for a while before that. So I was determined to do that. So the grass is cut, and then I sort of read chapter 41 in preparation to sign it off tomorrow. And chapter 41 is an interesting chapter because it wasn't in my original chapter plan. In my original chapter plan, it ended with the last person going into hibernation at the end of chapter 40, which I signed off earlier today. And then it was going to jump not only a couple of years ahead until people were out of hibernation, it was going to basically jump to a point down the line where Ronnie had already set up home with Adrian. She already knew that Gordon had died to save her and all that kind of stuff. And it was during a podcast that I did, and I've got the date here somewhere. It was during this podcast that I did on the 7th of February 2025, show number 32 from this year, entitled New York More Work, that I realised that I needed to do more. So what was going to be originally just a single epilogue ended up becoming, well, I wasn't sure how long it would be at the time, but it ended up becoming 3 additional chapters. And the first one, which is the one I've signed off today, chapter 41, which is titled After, basically from Ronnie's point of view is set immediately after chapter 40. So it's her waking up from her hibernation. It's her finding out that Gordon died, which I thought was such an important moment. It was wrong to not have it in the book, for it to skip ahead to after that had happened. So she finds out what happens when Gordon dies. She is reintroduced to Adrian and has to tell him that she's pregnant. Idrisil, when she's hibernating, says, "Oh, you're pregnant, by the way," or words to that effect. And she knows that, in the timescales, it could only have been Adrian. So there's her telling him, there's the kind of them properly getting together. And the bit I added was, her finding out that Vishal Sharval, the guy that should have died, survived. Nobody's quite sure how. I'm not quite sure how, but they hypothesised that basically he was around them when a lot of the schooled tree spirits were around, and they must have heard her saying to Oakley, "I wish there was something more we could do for him. This guy has been wonderful." Someone somewhere listened to what she said, and he was taken in after he was shot. Schooled took him into the trees, and he survived like all the other survivors did, hibernating, and was repaired as it happened. So, yeah, I loved reading that chapter. It also reintroduced Marianne and showed a lot about their mental health issues that they've had since everything's happened. Yeah, it was just a really fun chapter to write. And it also added a little bit of jeopardy at the very end, because Ursula, who is 300 plus years old, has decided that she's done her bit now, and it's time for her to not be there anymore. And it's not going to happen straight away. She sort of said, "I want to die in my cottage in Sherwood," and I'd already planned, obviously, in the last chapter to be largely set down that neck of the woods. So yeah, so it's all set up ready for the last 2 chapters. I'm really enjoying it. I'm definitely going to read some more tonight. I am engaged tomorrow. I have things to do, but depending on how much work the last 2 chapters need, there is a tiny chance I will get it signed off tomorrow. More likely Sunday though. But hey, listen, tomorrow I might have, well, it's sort of signed off. So once I've signed off that draft, I will then get it printed I will use Kindle Direct Publishing to send it to me as a physical book, which means buggering about formatting it and everything. And I will read it again, because with Still Life, what I found was that there was a couple of things that I hadn't spotted even when I read it on paper that I did spot when it was physically printed in a book. So there will be a few amendments made, but it is largely there, just 2 chapters to sign off. Anyway, I've gone massively over my allotted time. Apologies. That's the end of the podcast for today, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.